Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Of course, back here with Grant. We're going to be talking about the exciting acquisition Esports Entertainment made earlier this week. Acquiring Helix Esports and ggCircuit. First things first. Grant, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Exciting times, it seems like, in the gaming world. And it seems like you guys are busy. I'll let you kick it off. Do you want to kind of introduce Helix Esports, ggCircuit? We'll go down through the press release after, but if you want to kind of give them an intro, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Obviously, the update here is talking about this acquisition. I was on the Business of Esports the other day with Paul. In his opinion, this is the biggest transaction that's going to go down in the esports industry this year. Now, for us, we see it as being transformational, and I'll kind of get into why. Because all these companies are private companies. Because they're private, obviously they haven't been doing press releases, so these names, by and large, are probably new to the viewer. So let me sort of go through it. As you can see, the logo is behind me. These are the member companies. This is the esports group of companies. And you can see the previous ones from Argyle and Sports Nation and Esports Gaming League, et cetera. But up in the corner, you see the blue or purplish logo, the ggCircuit. This company, they have the enterprise software that most gaming companies operate off of. And when I say that, I mean a lot of the companies that people are familiar with: Super League, Allied, Vindex, GameWorks. The list goes on and on. Their software is embedded in Lenovo hardware. That's the gaming software. Their software operates 1,000 physical locations around the planet. So it's part of the infrastructure that is esports, and they have over 1.98 million unique monthly users on their software. So it's substantial, to say the least. Moving over to the other side, Helix and Genji. Helix operates 5 large esports gaming centers. The 2 biggest ones are in New England and in New Jersey, being 10,000 square feet. Now, during COVID, obviously, physical locations are challenged, because you obviously, like everybody else, you can't have large gatherings. But these guys really impressed us because they've been able to stay at a break even when they're only allowed to operate with 25% capacity. And how they did it, they're very innovative. They have food and bev sales, and that's a part of it. But all the dormant gaming rigs in the location, they mine cryptocurrency when they're not being used. And at the end of the day, they liquidate the cryptocurrency. So they pay for themselves over the course of the day. So it's innovative thinking like that help accelerate this transaction, because you've got to work with people when times are tough like this in the pandemic. You figure out a solution to remain. You don't just sit there, roll up in a ball, and suck your thumb and hope all the bad news goes away. They're very proactive. Now, right under Helix, you have Genji. Now, Genji, for those followers who are here on the phone who know a lot about esports, William Collis, who he's on the podcast, The Business of Esports, as well. He also wrote the book of esports, literally titled The Book of Esports. It's a bestseller in the sector. And he had developed Genji. Really, they started owning Team Oxygen, which is an esports team, not a tier 1 team, but some people may or may not know them. But they had developed software to collect data, analyze data, and an artificial intelligence software package that helped compile this data into something usable products. One of these products is we can now make scouting reports. And so it gathers data from everybody's Twitch feeds, from their YouTube feeds, Reddit, etc. Wherever they're playing and streaming, it'll gather up all this data on individuals. So, maybe an Overwatch team in Toronto knows there's an up and coming Overwatch player in South Korea because he's been posting. So they can gather up all this data, and we now have a saleable, marketable product in producing these scouting reports. In addition, because of the artificial intelligence, they've been able to develop tighter lines. And one of the big challenges for sports books with esports is it generally follows the top 20 teams in the biggest events. So it's a fairly thin offering, as everybody in your call here knows. So the analytics here will allow it to go into tier 2, tier 3 teams and across more titles, because the data points that you need to do handicapping, it's all, their software is all based on artificial intelligence. This gives us, again, it allows for Vi to have the broadest offering of lines and the most product to be offered on. But it also gives us a sellable product to deal with casinos, because casinos don't care. In fact, the first esports book event to be carried in a casino was in Atlantic City, and it was the Legend Series, where we were the sponsor on the Allied, when we partnered with Allied. That was the first one to be brought into an American sports book. This product will address the concerns of casino sites. That'll be a sellable product. So we're pretty excited about that. And then the one on the bottom there, LandDuel, it was developed with also by Genji working with Helix. This is a player versus player amateur betting, skill-based betting. Grant's playing Jason, or pick whatever team, whatever sport you want to play. Madden, 2K, FIFA, League. Well, League's a bad example because that's that's a team thing. But Fortnite, and who's going to do the next kill? Who's going to win the game? I bet you $10. So we're playing against each other, and the purse is $20. Because I'm putting my 10 in, etc. This is skill-based. It's being developed in and tested in New Jersey with the blessing of the New Jersey Gaming Commission and the publishers. Williams sits on at least two board of advisors for major publishers. So once this is ready to roll out, which will be Q1 next year, this is now a PvP, skill-based esports betting platform that's not based on a random number generator. Think of golf. More money gets bet on the golf course by foursomes, who's going to shoot the closest to the hole, the longest drive, who's going to win the hole, etc. Than's bet on Tiger Woods. Many, many multiples more. So this expands that universe. You're not just betting on Liquid, Cloud9, etc. It's just mono a mono. And the reason this is super exciting is that's a product that casinos have been looking for. How do they bring millennials? How do they have a product that gamers are interested in? Because currently they don't. They'll host an event. Gamers will come to the event. The casinos keep hoping they'll go out and play the tables or the slots. Clearly, they're not interested in either of those. Maybe they get a drink on their way out, but they're on their way out. Now you replace part of the slots. We come in with the Helix expertise. We build the centers in with the Vi and EGL. We drive people. So it opened up new verticals for us as a company. So that's why we're really excited about this. I mean, it's clearly going to have an effect on we're going to be adjusting our forecast for 2021, and our fiscal 2022, we've already revised them. Then we're going to go from 25. We're revising those up to 42 million.
Yeah. Look, we'll unpack a ton of stuff, but just to go through the news release, again, just extending the title, you have a deal valued at 43 million. For people that are asking, how do you get to that number? Can you explain?
Sure. Effectively, as you know, there's some wild valuations in esports, which makes it a lot of alchemy. It's very difficult to get something that makes sense. For us, where we came up to and where we agreed to with this group, they wanted to be part of a bigger picture. They know who we're dealing with. We have the gambling expertise, we have the licenses, we have the public entity, and they have a lot of expertise in terms of physical locations and data. They're amazing at gathering data, and they've got the infrastructure. So we came down to a multiple of their 2022 revenues. It's 2.4 times their revenues, their forecast. That's without the synergies, without the projects that were the verticals I just mentioned, working with the casinos, not working with the sports teams like LA, Kings, and the opportunities, this type of bringing these additional services. It opens up a whole host of new financial revenue opportunities for us. Taking all that aside, just on their existing contracts, existing revenues, it's 2.4 times that. That's how I came up with the number.
No, awesome. And like you said, and I think worth saying, it's kind of a, rising tides lifts all ships. And like you said, they bring something in that another, part of, partner or company that you guys own can benefit. So there's all those verticals that'll be improved. It doesn't even include that, which is awesome. Just to go through the news release a little bit more, you say, adds 2 million unique gamers to the platform. Do you want to talk about that and where that comes from?
Sure. Sure. Well, that's just really just combining the existing client base of ggCircuit and Helix. ggCircuit is almost 2 million, just under 2 million just on their own. They're at home using their software. 1.98, I believe the number is. And then over on the Helix side, they have over 6,000 unique visitors a day on their gaming servers. So that just increased our universe by 2 million users. And if you think of all the economic opportunities that come with that, the ability to market to them, new products, market tournaments, and in jurisdictions where we have licenses, market gambling products to, really, and I can say captive market, but a friendly, a warm market.
Yeah. No, and extremely interesting. You mentioned crypto, like, that these gaming rigs, obviously the ones that aren't being used are mining crypto. And it makes you really think, because a lot of people have even said, and I've seen comments where people say, our land center is profitable. And I guess, hey, they found a very unique way to make them profitable. If there's any land centers watching, maybe this is, a good helping hand. But hey, everyone turns out the lights at 9 p.m., but those computers don't turn off. They
Exactly.
keep mining crypto. So extremely interesting. Crypto doing
It's
pretty well
Jason,
as of recently.
let me just jump in there.
Yeah.
It's if it helps them, that's excellent, because we're not trying to put anybody out of business. We've got our own business model. We're very comfortable with it. But as I mentioned, ggCircuit is the underlying software to the majority of these lands, overwhelmingly the majority of these land centers. So it's in our best interest that this industry is a raging success, because their success is our success. We don't want to see land centers or esports gaming centers go out of business. We want to help them stay in business.
Yeah.
That's good business for us.
No, for sure. Growing the, general gamers, people using, proofs in the pudding, more people going to these centers, everything combined.
Yep.
Lots of opportunities. So that's fantastic. I guess question for you, of course, as the CEO, what do you hope to take out of this? Where do you hope that, this deal goes to in the next, 6 months, without, speculative, but just what's your goals, company goals, but also personal goals to generate from this deal?
Well, I mean, it is a tough question to ask without, something self-serving. Clearly, my objective is to increase revenue. Increasing revenue increases the share price. Right now, what we need to do is make sure that the market understands what this deal is, because as I mentioned, there's four pieces to this transaction. That makes it a little bit confusing to a lot of people to understand, how does this fit. It's the land-based component to our online component. For us, like I think I mentioned to you, we now have the most diversified offering in esports, and it's the only completely vertically integrated online, tournament gambling, land-based tournament gambling infrastructure. I mean, we have it all. So for me, getting the message out to the benefit of all shareholders, obviously, um, and being able to open up new verticals, because by opening up new verticals, it accelerates the growth of esports. And by that, like getting esports into the casinos, getting esports into the sports arenas, the football, fields, etc., getting into these big, cathedrals of traditional sport, getting esports element in, because everybody on this call knows that the athletes who play hockey, basketball, football, when they're not playing and they're not in the gym, they're gaming. So there's not, they're fans, they're players themselves. So it's a natural fit for the sports and esports. And I said that we started the
Well,
convergence of that
to
with
give
the LA
people
deal.
insight, right? And I think it really became real when Fortnite took off. I think a lot of people thought it was two separate things. You had Drake playing with Ninja. You had Travis Scott playing with Ninja. You had Richard Sherman playing Call of Duty. Modern Warfare. A bunch of other people. Even the NBA. When the bubble was happening, they were like, you had players that they would get asked, hey, what do you do when the, like, you've been there for months, what do you do? Oh, I'm playing Call of Duty with my teammates. This is
Exactly.
this is a real deal, and I think people, are starting to realize that, especially, again, seeing Drake playing with Ninja was a huge thing. Really
Yeah.
kicked it off. Logic, now you see playing with people all the time. You even saw, if I'm not mistaken, it was either the governor or some high politician, I think she had like 6 million followers on Twitter, playing Among Us, with a few people, and she was on it, had her own Twitch stream. So look, a lot of people game, even though you might not, people listening to this might not realize it, especially, athletes and players like that. And there is a, you know, I guess, less serious gaming, population that trumps the super tryhards, who are playing, of course, right?